Hey guys, welcome to our April 1st, April Fool's Day special. Is marriage a joke? Obviously, marriage is serious. It's a serious topic. We respect marriage, the institution of marriage, the importance of it. We recognize the effect of it on every part of your life, personal and professional. But the reality is, there are certain things about marriage which seem perplexing and confusing. It kind of seems like there's a prank being used against us where a couple start out in one place and they end up in a completely other place. The reality is that for just about every single couple, they start out in one place believing we're going to make it work. We're going to be married until death do us part. And then over time, something happens in the relationship. It's not one thing or two things that happen. There are a series of dozens and hundreds, if not thousands, of interactions and conversations between a couple that over time start pulling them apart from each other. And they shift into a whole other place. And for many people, that results in divorce. Now, this is not just about divorce. A lot of marriages don't end in divorce, but they do end up mediocre or under average and miserable, quite frankly, where the intimacy is not what they both want. The emotional connection is not there. The communication is not healthy. It's not respectful. The kids are affected. And the couple is in a transactional relationship. They're kind of stuck because of finances or kids or religion or whatnot. And they're just limp along for decades, for the rest of their lives. But again, it's not the marriage that they thought it's going to be. The reality is millions and tens of millions of couples go through this where they start out in one place, excited, hopeful, energetic, confident in themselves, confident in each other, confident in their future. And then over time, they find themselves drifting apart emotionally and intimately. And it's very painful. The question is, what's going on? What is really going on? What is the missing ingredient? Are we really set up for failure? It seems to be a universal prank. It's humorous on one level, but it's also tragic. When you're actually going through it, it's actually very, very painful. In order to understand what are the certain realities that you need to be aware of and not ignore them, let's first talk about shifts. A shift happens. Couples start out in one place and end up in another. So there are two types of shifts. So first, we have to understand what is a normal shift in a relationship, which happens in every single relationship. And then we're going to talk about an unhealthy or abnormal shift, which happens very often. Now, the normal shift in relationships is that relationships typically start. This is 99% of the time it starts out with a limerence stage and it ends up with love. Limerence is the initial infatuation, that overwhelming attraction where you see your partner as perfect. They are just, he or she is perfect. That's called the limerence stage. Over time, in order to sustain a long-term healthy relationship, it cannot stay in limerence stage. If it just stays in limerence stage, it's going to burn itself out. It's not sustainable. It's a stage which does bring couples together, but it won't keep them together. In order for them to stay together and to be excited over each other and to want to build a family together in the future and share finances and support each other's goals and live together to an old age, you must transition into the love stage. The love stage is very different in the sense that it isn't that overwhelming chemical attraction, infatuation, passion. It has more of a calming element to it. There's a certain sense of peace, satisfaction, completion. It's more of, I am complete, I have my partner, we're together, we have a bright future together, we support each other. And you do see issues or flaws or imperfections about your spouse, but you love them with it. You embrace them together with the imperfections. In the limerence stage, you do not see those imperfections. It just seems perfect. My spouse is perfect, right? Over time, what's supposed to happen and what does happen, it shifts into more of a, so to speak, a lower level passion, which is not really meant to be a lower level passion, but by comparison, since it's more mature, it may feel on some levels that it has less passion and limerence because it doesn't have that immature teenage infatuation and passion. There is more mature adult give and take in a relationship. And there's a real partnership, a real friendship, and a deeper emotional connection. So it's not just about the physical components of the relationship. It's not just about the passion. It's not just about the physical intimacy. That is the normal shift. And it's important to understand that because that is, so to speak, healthy. And that will always happen. That's not the prank that we're talking about. When we're talking about the pranks, the April Fool's Day special is the other reality that happens in many marriages. There's an unhealthy shift. And what happens in this unhealthy shift is that the couple drifts apart on many levels. They drift apart and they start each living in their own head. They start developing their own story. The guy might say, well, I tried my best to please her. I did whatever she wanted. I was a good provider. I never cursed at her. I never abused her, never hit her. I was a pretty good dad. I was a financial provider. I more or less did what she wanted me to do. She kept changing her list on me. When she switched her list of things for me to do, I did my best to implement it, but I couldn't make her happy. I couldn't please her. She always complained about the things I didn't do, or she blamed me for doing something the wrong way. I just couldn't please her. The guy will have his story, and the woman will have her story. Well, my husband was emotionally disconnected. He wasn't present. By the time he realized we needed to make a major change, it was 10 years after. I was frustrated for 10 years or 8 years or 12 years or whatever amount she says. And by the time he decided to work on the marriage, I was already done. And he didn't get it. He was focusing on externals. He was focusing on superficials. He wasn't really understanding how to capture my heart, create passion, build trust. I'm just giving you an example. Everybody's story is going to be different. There are millions of couples, and the unique chemistry in a couple will create unique stories for both the husband and the wife. What I'm trying to say is that the unhealthy shift is when the couple over time develop their own story. They live in their own head, and their narrative would sound like two different marriages when it's the same marriage. The husband's perspective and the wife's perspective will be completely different. That is very unhealthy because each person really believes their story. No one is intending to lie. Research has shown it's not a matter of intention to lie. They actually believe they're saying the truth because they're summing up their narrative based on the pieces that affected them. Okay. So what is happening behind the scenes? What are the, so to speak, the universal pranks or the natural laws that work against marriage and kind of speak like a joke? Like if you don't understand it, it's going to hurt you. So there are 5 areas that are really important for you to pay attention to. In order not to fall into this universal prank, it's important to identify this. Now, the good thing is that there's also a solution as well, if you understand them. And I'm going to pick on some of them and explain that these are actually positive as well. But first, let's talk about how these things are affecting and hurting marriages all the time. These are realities that need to be understood and respected. Otherwise, it ends up being a prank against you. Number 1, the first joke, and I'm saying this with sensitivity, it is tragic at the same time. The first joke, so to speak, is the fact that guys feel like they have unconditional love for their wife. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is it's not true. She doesn't feel it. In these types of marriages I'm talking. In this situation where there's an unhealthy shift, in many cases, the unconditional love is going to be something you believe in your head, and you sincerely believe it. I'm not knocking you. I am opening your eyes to reality, which is already happening in your mind. But in her heart, she does not feel and trust your love 100%. Again, I'm speaking in marriages where there's the unhealthy shift. I'm not talking about the normal shift. In many marriages, there is that unconditional love and she feels it. But in many marriages, this reality develops that the husband feels he loves her, but she doesn't feel and trust it. You have to be aware of that. You cannot make believe it's not there. Number 2, women, as the years develop in an intimate relationship, in certain marriages, they tend to get stuck in the past. They're no longer living in what's going on in the present interactions with their husbands. They're looking in the past the whole time. They're stuck in the past. You cannot ignore it. Even if the woman is saying, hey, I want to move on. I want to find myself. I want to let go of the past. It will be impossible to reconcile and truly create a deep, real relationship and friendship and a deep emotional connection, healthy intimacy, if you don't know how to talk to her about the past. This is a very critical piece that most men and women miss. You do have to know how to talk about the past, even if she says she's not interested in it, because her heart will not be able to unlock towards you in a good way. She won't be able to open up to you, to your overtures, to your effort, to your good intentions. She won't be able to do it if you don't talk about the past. That's another reality going on. The third reality going on is that over time, women build pictures of their husbands in their minds. And the picture is an opinion she has of you. And that opinion, whether it's true or not, is going to influence and it's virtually going to control and dominate her opinions of you and her decisions about the relationship. It's vital to see that. If you don't see it, again, that's another prank that's going to work against you. It's a reality. It's a natural law. It's very painful to go through it. I've gone through it myself. I know what it feels like. It's important to not ignore the fact that she has a picture of you built up in her mind, and that picture is affected by just about 3% of your effort. In other words, let's just make up a figure of 100 pounds. Obviously, 100 pounds doesn't exist in a marriage, but let's say 100 pounds of effort. You put 100 pounds of effort. Well, 97 pounds of it are useless and worthless. She's going to judge you based on 3 pounds, based on 3% of the things you said or did, that is going to be used against you or for you. It could go the positive way as well. You don't have to do her entire list. You could just do 3% of the things that actually matter, because that 3% is going to determine how she sees you. Does she see you as manipulative, or does she see you as being sincere? Does she see you as controlling, or does she see you as a real partner? Does she see you as desperate, or does she feel attracted to you, right? So it goes both in the negative and positive sense. But if you ignore this, this is going to be, again, the third prank, so to speak, which is used against you. It's a natural law that, number one, again, to recap some of these, if you feel you have unconditional love for her, it doesn't necessarily mean that she feels it and trusts it. Number two, she does get stuck in the past. It doesn't really matter what you're doing right now. What's very important is how to talk to her about the past. Number three, she gets stuck with an opinion, an image of you. She has an idea of you stuck in her head. Some of it may have been true. Some of it may have never been true. Some of it might still be true right now, right? In some cases. And that picture is going to be fed by just a small fraction of what you're doing. And you got to pay attention to that. Which brings us to number four. Inadvertently, by mistake, many husbands do and say things which cement the wrong picture of them into their wife's head. So they may be doing a lot of things for their wives, a lot of good things. But if they do something that makes them look desperate, that image of desperation in her mind is going to register as that image. And that desperation is actually going to make her feel not attracted to you. It's going to make her, so to speak, discard and throw out a lot of your effort, even though you don't mean it. Number five, a woman's decisions are not based on logic. They are based on emotion. So she may come to an agreement with you or give you an explanation for something that she expects or something that she wants, or an explanation for something that she did. But that explanation will very often be inconsistent if you look over the period of a couple of years, sometimes even a couple of months, because women's decision when it comes to their relationship, I'm not talking about when it comes to their profession or their career, I'm talking about women's decision in their intimate relationship will be based on how they feel, not based on how they're thinking. And the mistake a lot of men make, and this is why it backfires against many guys, is they approach the conversation from a logical perspective and try to appeal to the wife's logic and her intelligence. And she could be very intelligent, but it won't make a difference because her decisions about you, her opinions about you, her decisions about the relationship, her decisions about the future of the marriage will depend exclusively on the way she feels, not on the logical presentation of you explaining your effort, what you're doing, what you've tried, all the good things you've done, all the good things you're going to do, your commitments. That does not matter. Now, it may sound as a negative thing, but the reality is that it's also a positive thing, because when you understand that a woman's decisions about the relationship are based on her emotions and not based on her logic, that is actually, on the one hand, it may be frustrating, it may be demoralizing to hear that, but at the same time, on the other side of that coin, the reality is that it could go both ways, right? She could say, for example, I'm never, ever going to be open to continuing this relationship with you. Our marriage is over, 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 over. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear from you. Please don't talk to me about it. Please don't work on the relationship. But the reality is, if you do the right things and you understand how to appeal to her emotions, whatever her decision was, whatever her statement was, whatever her logical thing that she said was that I'm done, I'm over, I'm not trying again, I don't want you to try again, please stop working on it, please give up on me, please give up on us, you're frustrating me, that will change as well. Which makes a lot of sense, by the way, because if you look back at the beginning of your relationship, there was a point where you both felt that you would both live happily ever after until the next 70, 80, 90 years, you'd be good together. Right? And then what happened? 10, 11, 12 years later, she's done. So similarly, that same thing could go in the reverse. Just like you started out thinking it's going to be amazing forever and then it turned into a disaster, you can also come from a disaster and turn it around, because you got to understand the decisions that a woman makes is based on her emotions and not on her logic. That's the exact strategy. Well, I can't say exact strategy because it evolves from one situation to another, from one client to another. That essentially is the formula that we've used when I've helped guys to turn around their marriages, to focus on these 5, so to speak, pranks and turn them from a prank into a practical strategy. Because once you understand how these things work, once you understand how unconditional love works, once you understand how that image is built up, once you understand what that 3% is, once you understand how to appeal to her emotions and how to get her unstuck from the past and how to stop doing things in the present that is feeding the past, it actually puts you in a place that you can have a lot more confidence and compassion as you're turning around your relationship, because you can now see and understand these things are working against you behind the scenes, and you're back in the driver's seat. And that's essentially the strategy that I've been using for the guys who have been turning around their marriages. And if you want to explore not just information about it, but you're actually ready to take action and take a step-by-step process and invest the time, make the commitment, and make the difference in your marriage. If you want to explore what it looks like for your marriage, you can type help under this video and we'll have a conversation and see what the process is for you, what's the next right thing for you, and if this is even compatible for your marriage, for your personality, for your future, for your goals. And so just want to recap. The 5 areas to be aware of is, I feel I have unconditional love, but she doesn't feel it. You need to be aware of it. That's a real reality. Don't make believe it's not there. Number 2, the image that she has of you is going to dominate everything else, and that image is fed by 3%. Number 3, she is stuck in the past. You need to address it. You can't address it right away. You got to start from first identifying the areas that are blocking her from feeling your unconditional love. Number 4, you have to stop feeding the wrong picture of you to her based on what you're doing in the present. And number 5, you got to appeal to her emotions and not to her logic. I hope you guys enjoy this video. And again, for guys who do want to explore getting the support directly from me, how to implement this, what does it mean practically, what the steps are, what is a sequence, and how to approach it in your marriage. Even when she says that she's done, type help under this video and we will have a chat and see what is appropriate for you.